Hi everyone, it's Sherry. I just recorded this video and I realized that I never clicked record, so here I am recording it again. Not that you would know that, but anyway, chapter 9. Chapter 9 was kind of tricky, and the questions always didn't have enough information, and everybody's unique personal circumstances and their background really colored their perspective or their opinion, so answers were kind of all over the board. And it's understandable because the lines between different types of influence or power are kind of gray, and the options are kind of similar sometimes, the terminology. So I went through and I did scrub the questions, and I looked at those that were particularly confusing. I gave back a lot of answers. The average grade was pretty low, and we raised it up almost 4 points, so that should help most of you with the grading. If there are questions of this type on the final exam, I'll make sure that I put them into an essay question format so you can give me some justification as to why you chose the answer that you did, which makes it so much better. All right, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the case study. So super interesting. People had all kinds of opinions all across the board. There were some common themes, but people's individual perspective and their backgrounds really were all over the board with regard to, was the memo right? Should she have sent it? What would you do? Would you go see the dean? People were just all kinds of answers, and everybody in general did a really nice job of supporting their answers, which is important because you can't just say, no, she shouldn't have sent the memo without telling me why. So the one thing I did want to point out was Beth. Beth is a division chair. She's the chair of the division, which is the same as me. I'm also a division chair. I'm also faculty and a department coordinator, which is why I'm teaching classes still. But Beth is a chair, and as a chair, you have faculty that report to you, and she's got 9 faculty that report to her. So some of you gave her position power, some of you gave her lots of other powers, which were understandable. Expert power, connection power, for example. But I just wanted to point out that by definition, she's a chair, people report to her, she has position power. So wanted to point that out. I also wanted to talk about tenure. Tenure is something that's unique to the college or university environment. You don't find it really any other place, any other kind of company or job. But tenure is this idea that we grant people permanent or long-term employment in exchange for academic freedom, for the ability to teach our classes that we're hired to teach because we have expert knowledge. We can teach those classes with academic freedom. So no one's telling me that I have to teach a class a certain way. We have the freedom to teach the class and accomplish the outcomes. So what you're supposed to learn, I can do it my way. So someone with tenure has a lot of power to say or do things at the university without fear of being fired. You can be fired with tenure. It's not easy, but you can. There's a pretty strong teachers union, and you have to really demonstrate that somebody is not fulfilling their obligations as a full-time faculty member. For whatever reason, they're just either a really horrible teacher, they've done something that's completely unethical or illegal, and if that's the case, then absolutely we are not required to keep them here. We can start proceedings to remove them from their position. But tenure is a very powerful, very, very coveted type of thing, and so if you don't have tenure and you care about your job and you want to be promoted, then you are absolutely going to think hard about what you say that could cause waves or ripples or make your position any less secure. So LaToya has tenure, so she can say a lot of things and feel completely comfortable that she's not going to lose her job. If she didn't have tenure, if she was on a contract, short-term or one-year contract, or just teaching quarter to quarter, then absolutely if she wanted to be promoted at some day, then she was going to really think twice about the kinds of memos that she sends or the things that she says publicly. All right. Here at Highline, we don't have a college-wide policy about using graduate students for grading. First of all, we don't have grad students, but even if we did, There's no policy about having student graders. In the math department, we do have student graders, and they grade homework that's not even restricted to objective or multiple choice type questions. So they can grade papers, they have graded papers that where you are required to show your work. I personally don't do that. And I even question using a grader for objective types of questions, because I think this chapter is a really great example of where there are objective questions that come from the book. The book says that there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer, but I don't necessarily agree, all right, for reasons that we saw in Chapter 9. The question might be poorly written, there might be missing information, the answers might not be clear, or the teaching might be ineffective. Maybe the book didn't do a very good job of explaining it, so the answers are not strong. So for all these reasons, having Canvas, a machine, or somebody else grade the homework, I think in and of itself is too limiting, and there always needs to be somebody to look over it and make sure that there aren't adjustments that need to be made that a graduate student or a computer might not necessarily pick up. So anyway, that's just a little bit of insight to how things work here at Highline. Coming down to the wire, 2 chapters this week. It's our last big week. Next week and the week after, just 1 chapter as we wind down toward finals week. Trying to give you guys a break, and then we'll have our final exam, and that's it. So I'll see you guys around and online.